Right now I want to take a look at the Dune HD 8K Max, and I want to compare it to something I've previously reviewed in the Zidu UHD 8000. So right off the bat, let's take a look at the prices. The Dune HD 8K Max is $799, whereas the Zidu came in at $1,500. So as far as the unboxing experience, it was decent. Maybe not a premium experience, but it was okay. The device itself feels premium, and on the bottom I noticed a large Noctua fan, which is very different from what I saw on the UHD 8000. These fans are known to be quiet and cool well. So moving on to the remote, it did come with some AAA batteries, so I'm happy to see that. The Zidu did not. The remote is both IR and Bluetooth. It does come with an IR extender if you need to use that. The remote is fully backlit, and it also has voice control, which the Zidu did not. That's very handy when you're trying to search for something instead of having to type it out with the remote. Although it looks like a pretty plain plastic remote, the buttons are tactile, they're rubbery, and it's easy to use and easy to navigate around. In certain cases where you need a mouse cursor, you can actually use this as an air mouse and just point it where you want it. They do have some learning functions in case you want to control a different device, and they worked as expected. I know these aren't meant to be streaming devices, but because they're running on Android, I wanted to know what worked and what didn't. By default, it runs the Dune Media app, which is kind of like an operating system within itself. But because I wanted to install different apps, I wanted to install a different launcher, and this one is called Project Ivy. Immediately, I noticed that this feels more customizable than the Zidu. It really feels like I'm just using an Android device, and I can use the Dune Media app as just an app in itself. Whereas on the Zidu, it kind of felt like the Zidu was the entire operating system. Part of it is that I was able to use the home button to open the Project Ivy launcher. The key component is that I was able to install the Play Store very easily without having to install a custom firmware. I was able to install Plex, but unfortunately, I was not able to get HD pass-through to work. Hopefully that's something that they can fix, because that would make this a good all-around streaming device as well as a local media player. This video is not sponsored by Dune HD, but it is sponsored by the Spatial Audio Calibration Toolkit. That's a project that I have with Technodad, and we created a disc that allows you to test your Dolby Atmos system. It's also sponsored by my Magic Bean software, which is intended to find the true target response of the speakers in your room at your listening position. I'll leave a link down below to both. Both YouTube and SmartTube work, so you're able to get 4K HDR video. Also, Apple TV works with 4K UHD, Dolby Vision, and Dolby Atmos. I was also able to get Disney Plus work, also with 4K HDR and Dolby Vision. Max also works with all those settings, but I wasn't able to get some of the live events to work. The HD Home Run app works fine, but I wasn't able to get Amazon Prime working since the movies just don't play, as well as Netflix, which is only the mobile version, which is relegated to 720p. So regarding device performance, everything was very fast. I was able to play movies nearly instantly, and I was able to scroll through local media without having to wait for icons to load. Another thing that I like is when you press the power button, it puts the device to sleep instead of powering it all the way off, so it's quick to turn off and quick to turn on. One benefit is that you are able to use this as a Samba share, so you can't put files on this and share it on your local network. And because it just goes to sleep, you're still able to access those files even when you have this somewhat powered down. If you do want to shut it off, there's an option to do that as well. So regarding the movie collection, I found that it does a very good job of matching the artwork and the posters to the metadata, and there were only a few movies that I had to manually rematch. So for example, I have some Oro 3D demo discs, which are pretty out there, but on the Zidu, it was not able to match them. On this, it was. I found that it was really easy to fix unmatched movies because you could do one right after the other. I tested ISO playback and it was fast, and the menu was responsive. It gives you all the info you could possibly want about a movie, including IMDb ratings. The Dune Media app does feel a bit dated due to its user interface, but it's something I could deal with. Regarding picture quality, I can say that everything looks good because they have the VS10 engine. VS10 is basically the Dolby Vision engine, and it allows you to convert SDR, HDR, and HDR Plus to Dolby Vision, which makes everything look more vibrant and brighter in some cases. Especially if you're like me and you're using a projector, you can use something like the HD Fury to trick the device into thinking that it supports Dolby Vision, and therefore you can maximize the picture quality for that particular projector. The reason why that's handy is because, for example, if you switch from SDR to HDR, normally there's a handshake that has to be done with HDMI, but because this VS10 engine is in place, it does it internally and everything is nearly instant. I don't have to see the screen blackout that normally happens. So versus the Zidoo UHD 8000 I recently reviewed, here are some things that I liked more about the Zidoo. First, Zidoo with Plex had lossless audio, so that was very important. The Zidoo had a dedicated audio HDMI output, which was handy if you had an older AVR. The Zidoo also had XLR, whereas this one has RCA outputs. I should mention that they both have premium internal DACs and premium components within. It's not something I put a lot of stock in, but I'm glad that they both had them. So back to the comparison, the Zidoo did have two 3.5-inch drive bays, whereas this one has a single hard drive bay. I thought that the user interface on the Zidoo was a little bit more polished and more modern. In my notes, I said that the Zidoo had the AI picture quality settings that did enhance the picture. It enhanced the colors and it was able to sharpen up low resolution video. But in a recent firmware update, the Dune also added those settings, as well as a setting to reduce the black floor on Dolby Vision. The other thing that Zidoo had was a way to cast what would normally be on your TV screen on your phone, which was handy if you needed to navigate around. The Zidoo had custom audio apps, which allowed me to use Qobuz on the screen, whereas this does not. So in conclusion, the current price of $799, if you're looking for a local media player with an internal drive bay, this is a good value. Also, if you're looking for something where you can install some streaming apps, you can also do that with this device. I think it has a really nice remote, very easy to use. But if you wanted a music streamer and a local media player, I think that the UHD 8000 is more suited for that particular task. But if you just want a local media player with a VS10 engine and the ability to use some streaming apps, I think that this is a very good alternative. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos, and watch these other videos that are related. And once again, thanks for watching.